Gamification has enabled Kimba all aspects of her business, leading to more sales, greater results, and getting everyone involved, whether it's engagement with her social media posts or an increase in the number of people that are completing her courses or showing up live to online events, better participation, retention in her challenges and memberships, or getting higher quality testimonials. Everything she's gamified has seen a marked improvement. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about something that is so cool and so pivotal for tutors to really be able to get a hang of and be able to understand. And it's all about gamification. So maybe you've heard this term before, maybe you haven't. Well, today I have brought with me Kimba Cooper Martin, who is from the United Kingdom, and she's going to be sharing all about gamification with you guys and really helping us understand how can we use this, especially for those kids that are just not invested in their tutoring sessions, and how can we use some of these tactics and opportunities to really get our child and student engaged with the sessions that they are having. Now, Kimba is a successful, innovative, and creative entrepreneur. She's based in Bristol. You're going to get to hear her wonderful accent, you guys. She's been using gamification in her personal and business life to improve results and meet her goals for as long as she can remember. As well as running a flourishing business in her spare time, she has sponsored Hula Hooper and has used gamification to outsell the other sponsees by 10 times, you guys. And gamification has enabled Kimba all aspects of her business, leading to more sales, greater results, and getting everyone involved, whether it's engagement with her social media posts or an increase in the number of people that are completing her courses or showing up live to online events, better participation, retention in her challenges and memberships, or getting higher quality testimonials. Everything she's gamified has seen a marked improvement. And I think this is so awesome because a lot of times we think about gamification, we think about the teaching side of things, but it can also be used in the marketing side of things for your tutoring business as well. She's also gamified other areas of her personal life so that she can fit in extra reading, exercise regularly, and learn new skills while having fun. I love this. So now Kimba helps others apply gamification techniques to boost their results for themselves and for the people that they serve. And by working in this way, everyone is a winner. I love it. Kimba, you are amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited to be here. Oh, this is great. And yeah, everyone is a winner with gamification. That's the best way to work.
That is because, it boosts their motivation, which means that they're going to get more accomplished and be able to get the results then in turn that they really want to be able to get at the end of the day. So yeah, everybody is definitely a winner. I agree.
I find that it's one of those things that I assumed everyone knew what it was until I started speaking to people and I realized actually not everybody does. Now, obviously you guys are in L&D and learning and development, so you should know. But in case you haven't come across it before, this is how I describe it. So you've all played a game at some point. You've maybe played hopscotch or tiddlywinks or a board game, a video game, mobile game. Built into those games are tools and techniques to encourage you to keep playing even when you're bored, even when you're frustrated, because you want to get to that next level or you want to beat your opponent. And so what I do is I take those things that are built into those games, those psychological tips and tricks. It doesn't always have to be software based. Sometimes it is just like psychological things, and put them into non-game settings like the things that you've discussed so that we can get better results. And in your world, the tutoring world, it is the perfect world for this because there are lots of people out there who want to learn something or need to learn something, but might not be motivated to actually do it. There might be something holding them back, and gamification can really help with that. So how did I get into it is a very multi-dimensional story. I mean, as you said in my intro, in my spare time, I'm a semi-professional hula hooper, and I was using games to play with my audience to get more sales of hula hoops for the brand that I was sponsored by. But I didn't realize I was doing this. I was running a different kind of business, and my husband said to me, you never exercise unless you set yourself a challenge. I was like, no, I don't. what are you talking about? And then I thought about it and I was like, he's not wrong. Like that's the only time I exercise, if I set myself a challenge. And then I thought about it and I was like, I do this in my courses, I do this in my launches, I do this with my team. Like I've been doing this for a long time. And then I realized that actually I could help other people with this. So I did all the reading I could and I started implementing it to the stuff that I was teaching at the time. I used to train people in it, how to use Instagram. And I was starting to see some incredible results. So we saw a 29% increase in course completion. We saw a 52% increase in posts in the group. We saw a 16% increase in active users in the group. And this was before we actually really knew what we were doing. This was just trialing some gamification techniques and testing things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was doing it in my personal life, I was doing it in my business life, and I was like, I can just stop doing all the things I don't enjoy doing in my business anymore and focus on gamification. So yeah, that's how I got to where I am now.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So I know that you mentioned with like your social media posts and these kinds of things, getting more engagement with that. And I know tutors are always interested, like when it comes to getting their messages out there of how to get more people to respond or react or do those kinds of things. How did you use gamification to get those kinds of results?
So there's a few things that we did. When I first revealed what we were doing, what our new thing was, gamification, we did a kind of treasure hunt style email marketing campaign where we said, if you want to find out what our new thing is, you're going to have to sign up to the emails and we'll send you clues weekly. And that's the only way you can find out. So we'd post on all our social media posts and people would be like, oh my gosh, I need to know what it is. And they'd be messaging me and they'd be responding on the comments. And I was like, the only way you can find out is to sign up and get the clues. And I think we had hundreds and hundreds of people sign up to find out what we were doing, and had people who hadn't spoken to for years, desperate to know what it was. And we only had 2 or 3 people guess correctly. And because I'd accidentally said the word gamification here or there. So things like that, things that intrigue people, things that engage people, those are good ones. But it doesn't have to be as complicated as that. It can be as simple as putting a poll into your Instagram stories. It can be as simple as, using a quiz sticker. It can be really straightforward. But I think, and this is, and I'm going to speak specifically to tutors now, this is a problem that I know that you guys have, is that it's very easy to put content out there for the kids, for the people that you're going to be tutoring, but actually the person who's buying is the parents or the guardians. So you need to be putting content out there that is going to relate, they're going to relate to, that they're going to understand, that's going to make sense for them. So you might think, oh gosh, I can't play games because the parents aren't going to be interested, like games are for kids. That's not true. Okay, every adult has played a game at some point. Most of the people you're selling to, and this is going to be a generalized stereotype and a guess, would be mostly mums or people who identify as mums. That would be my guess rather than the dads. And most mobile game users are female.
Wow.
So identify as female. So it's like, target your games at them, play games with them. They're the ones who are going to be buying. Like, keep them engaged so that when they're ready to buy, when they're ready to find a tutor, they will remember you over all of the others because you've kept them engaged.
I think that is so key when it comes to all of this. And I think there's a difference too in the types of messages that you're sending. So it's not just, oh, we're taking students right now for the summer months, click here and find out more, right? You're actually creating content that's going to serve them and help them. That's a piece of it. Everything is geared towards the person with a credit card, because like you said, if I'm advertising my services to the kids and I'm creating content just for them, then when they reach out to me and they can't pay for it, I'm in a weird situation, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I had so many people say, oh, the people that reach out to me, they don't want to pay. And it's like, well, that's only because they don't understand the value. It's not that they don't want to pay. They just don't know what they're paying for and the value that they're going to be getting and receiving. So when they understand that you're putting out this content that's going to serve and help and inform and help them be better decision makers, I think that's really gonna help them overall know that you are the right choice for them. So inside of like the teaching aspect, what would be some examples of gamification techniques that tutors could use with their students to keep them engaged in the tutoring sessions?
So the first thing you need to do, and this is like marketing 101, never mind gamification, is understand the person that you're trying to tutor. So are they going to be more engaged with going into competition, maybe with other students that you teach, or are they going to be more engaged by working on their own and competing against themselves? Or maybe they're going to be more engaged by collaborating with other people in their area, or maybe they don't want to interact with other people in their area. Maybe they want to be paired up with somebody who's really far away. Like, you need to understand who they are. Are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? Do they like challenge? Do they like competition? Do they like collaboration? And then try and redesign your sessions in a way that's going to make sense for them. Having said that, the word redesign is probably making your skin crawl. Oh, it's a lot of work. Oh, I've got to redesign everything. You can start small, okay? You can start with asking them the question, like, what do you want to do today? I've got 2 things we can do on this topic. You know we have to cover this topic, whether you like it or not. Which one do you want to do? Just start small, give them options. One of the things that, young people don't have is control. And they would like to have that control back. So that's something very simple. And the other thing I think as well is the natural thing that people want to put into gamified things is quizzes. They're like, I really want to do a quiz. And some kids think quiz, they think exam, they don't think fun. So you need to ask them the question, like, do you like quizzes? Do you want to do a quiz as part of this? Or would you prefer I test you in another way? Because they might be like, oh God, it's like sitting an exam and I hate exams. And that causes stress and anxiety. So yeah, my first thing is always really understand the people you're teaching. And even if that means spending the first 15 minutes of your session asking them questions and getting to know them, they'll appreciate you more. They'll think you really care about them, and your sessions will be received much better.
Yeah. What are some different metrics that tutors can use to know if their gamification techniques are working?
Oh, okay, that's a great question. So I guess the first question would be, depends on what problem you want to solve.
Mhm.
So a little while ago, you were saying about how some of the people following them online might not want to buy from them. So you could use your
Mhm.
gamification for market research. So you could be putting polls out there to find out, maybe not what their income is, because they might not answer that, but what kind of area they live in, and do they pay for other services for their kids and all this kind of stuff. And then the metric in that instance, the most important metric, is finding out if they're going to pay or not, because that's the problem you want to solve. Like, you want to identify leads in that instance. So you've got 2 metrics right there. Are any of them turning into warm leads that I can potentially sell to later? And are they actually willing to pay? In terms of class, it could be, if it's an online thing, it could be class completion or engagement rates, so the amount of people actually engaging with the content. It could be video completion rates if they're watching you online. If it's a one-to-one kind of situation like this, well, like I just said, you could do quizzes, but they might not like a quiz. So you've got to find ways of working with them. So it's all about, what is the problem you're actually trying to solve? And it's very easy to go, I just want to make it more fun. But that's not really it's a nice bonus, but it's not a business outcome. And it's not helpful for the kid either. That,
Yeah.
the person that you're tutoring, they need to get something out of it too. So I think the other important metric is, what do they want out of it?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what the parents want out of it. The parents want them to get good results, right? Good grades.
Right.
That's what they want. What does the child want to get out of it? And then what do you want to get out of it? I think those are very important metrics. But yeah, I mean, I know it's a non-answer, but what is the problem you're trying to solve? Then you can figure out the
Yeah.
metrics.
No, I think that's a really important way to kind of go about that, and really thinking about, okay, then what do I need to look at to see, is this working or is this not working? So even being able to, use some qualitative data versus quantitative data, right? Like, how are the kids responding to you as you're using this? Are they having a positive response or a negative response to it? And knowing what to go for. I remember one time I a lot of my kids, they like it when I use song and music. I had one kid, he was like, if you use another song with me, like, seriously, I'm like, he's like, no. And it's like you got to just like kind of listen to the feedback of the people. It's like, okay, this kid doesn't like any kind of like music or songs or any of that. We're not going to use music and songs to help him with learning this specific thing, right? So using, their responses to what you're putting in front of them can be really, really useful as well.
Well,
Our
that's a really interesting
research,
gamification
yeah,
technique that you just brought in, actually. That sensation is a really
yes,
important gamification topic that people don't really talk about. So you've talked about auditory. So you talked about
uh-huh,
using song, but like there could, if you've got a kid that's struggling to focus, a child or a student that is struggling to focus, you could have a song that you always play at the beginning and the end of your second sessions. It only has to be 30 seconds long, but it will train their brain to know it's time to learn. Like little
mm,
things like that. Or they might respond well to something physical. So it might be that you have a special set of pen and paper that they work with, or if you're working online, you might send them a certificate in the post for every, I don't know, 3 things they complete, whatever. So the idea is it's like physical reminders of learning, that's going to get them into that frame of mind. It might be that, let's say you have a theme in your group for the month of the color blue, and everyone has to wear blue every time they come up to class. Like these kinds of things, they're just silly, but anything you can do to bring the senses in, especially when you're delivering stuff online, because it is so 2-dimensional, whether we like it or
mm.
not, we are speaking to a screen. There's no like real physicalness there. So the other thing I've known somebody to do is they had like special aromatherapy scents, and they sent them through the post to people. So like when it was time to learn, they would like maybe burn a candle or put these scents on their pulse points, on like
Uh-huh.
their wrists and stuff. And it's these kinds of things, like you don't consider them to be gamification, but it is, because it's like gaming your brain to be in the right
Yes.
space to do the thing you need to do, which is learning. So yeah, using music is a brilliant example of something you can do.
I love it. And if anybody ever wants to send me the orange scent from like any aromatherapy orange stuff, I am in. That like really engages me. It like turns my brain on all the time. And that's what orange, like that specific scent, is supposed to do. Is it's supposed to like awaken your senses and help you be more focused and aligned with what it is that you're doing. So I love orange. I actually have a whole entire thing over here on my side. I never thought about that with my students, though. That is such a great idea. Fantastic. And why not be sending our kids things that really excite them? Because they're going to excite the parents too. Like if I send a certificate that um, you have moved up a level, like and I use guided reading books, and so my kid may have gone from level G to level H, right? To send them a certificate saying congratulations on moving from a level G to a level H, you're a rock star, or whatever it is, right? And then sending that to them and the parent, that's exciting them, right? And that's isn't that the purpose of gamification? It's to excite them to that whole learning system and be like, "Oh, I can't wait till I moved from a level H to a level I. I can't wait till I move from an I to a J, right? And what do I have to do in order to do that?" And I think
Oh,
that's
totally.
that's
Oh,
great.
it
You've given
just
me some
occurred to me. Obviously,
ideas.
can't send candles to children, but do you remember in the 90s? I don't know if this is popular everywhere else or just in the UK, but you'd get gel pens that smelled of things. Do you remember
Yes.
this? So you could totally
Yes.
get them those. You could be like, what's your favorite smell? Or like you could find different ones. And then yeah, when they achieve with their certificate, you can send them one of these like smelly I don't know if they sell them anymore. They must do.
They do. They totally do. Yes. Yes, yes,
But
yes.
things like that, it's nice. It's a reward, which is a gamification thing as well. It's a reward for achieving, and it will remind them of you and of learning and all of these things. So yeah, they're simple things. They're not going to cost you very much, but they will make a big difference to their experience.
Yeah, and there's even things online that you can do with avatars and those kinds of things. I know inside of like I have Raz Kids, and Raz Kids has every time they read a book, they get points. Every time they take a quiz, they get so many points. And then they can go on in and they have like a space shuttle they can design. They have their avatar that they can design. And those are great rewards too. Like it doesn't always have to be like a physical reward. It can
Oh
be
yeah.
reward that is done online as well. Because the kids love that. And even like earning like a certain amount of time to do this. Like I used to at the end of a session, if I had a student who had earned 5 stars during the session, I would play tic-tac-toe with him at the end, and he loved it. Now they don't call it tic-tac-toe. He was actually from the UK. What do you guys call it? You don't call it tic-tac-toe.
Noughts and crosses.
Noughts and crosses. So he would be like, "Can we play noughts and crosses today?" And I'd be like, "You got it. You got your 5 stars. We could play noughts and crosses today."
But this is the thing, like you got that child, like you understood him and he wanted to do that thing and that was the reward. And I think, you know, I know it sounds so simple, you need to understand who you're teaching, but for some they'd be like, I don't want to play noughts and crosses, that's a kid's game. Like they wouldn't want to play that in a million years, but they would want to, you know, build their avatar, or they would want to, you know, maybe spend some time with you at the end of the session just talking about non-school related stuff. Like some kids
Oh,
just want to be
yeah.
heard, you know.
And the little ones, they wanna show you their toy. Okay? They
Oh,
wanna show
that's
you
so
their toy
cute.
or their stuffed animals. Oh my gosh, you guys, they want to do that. So, like, I actually will start my session sometimes with a couple of my kids because they always come to the session showing me their toys. So, don't, like don't when they do that, don't ignore it, but set a time limit for it, right? Like, inside of your own mind, like, yeah, you're gonna listen to them and be engaged and interested in what it is that they wanna show them, but they're telling you right there what they want their reward to be. So if they do a good job, if they're a little stinky kind of during the session sometimes, you can be like, "Hey, if you earn 5 stars, you're gonna be able to show me, that new toy you wanted to show me at the end of our session." And it's amazing. It's relationship building, it's gamification, it's exciting. The kids think that you really care, which you do, right? But they don't feel like they are being shut down or not heard or any of those kinds of things. They feel excited about the session. It's actually one of the things that one of my clients told me in an email the other day. She goes, "I just want to tell you that I love when my kid comes to the session with a toy that you just always take a couple of, seconds just to listen to what is that toy and engage with that. And then you kindly and gently ask him to put it to the side and then you get your session started." And it's like, yeah, because they're excited to share it with me, right? They wanna share part of their life with me. So, it's important to keep that obviously contained. That's why they used to have show and tell in kindergarten, right?
Yeah, true. True.
Because the
That's
kids
so
always
adorable.
something they
That's
wanna
so
show.
adorable. I'd be like, I think I'd really struggle to rein it in. I'd be like, yes, I want to look at Mr. Snuffles. Of course I do.
Yeah! I even help name some of the stuffed animals that don't have names.
Oh my gosh, what a privilege.
I know, I know. I'm like, "Oh, is Frosty coming to join us today?" Or, like, even ask about them. Like, I know the names of their stuffed animals, I know the names of their pets.
You're like, I am a good tutor. I am the best. Like, I know these, all everything about their lives.
It is so fun, it is so fun. Now, I know that this isn't just about fun though, right? Because this is about also, like, research-backed, um, strategies that work, and I think while the fun piece really allows us to engage, to know that there's actually research backing these thoughts and these theories is important for some people. So, what are some different research studies that have been done on the effectiveness of gamification?
Oh my gosh, there's hundreds. They are all over the place. No, I think for me to just give you some random ones wouldn't be very helpful. I think it would be better if you're like thinking about doing gamification in a specific area and you're not sure, have a look, because there will be a research study around it. Like, you know, you talked about avatars. There are studies around avatars and the importance of avatars of yourself, but also of having instructional avatars and motivational avatars. Students of all ages, all the way up to adults included, respond better, research has shown, to avatars sometimes being motivational than you, is the way it
Mhm.
is. Or if you're like, actually, I want to start using gamification in my email marketing, look for studies around that. I think there is so much of it available. And I mean, gamification's been around for over 20 years. So there's lots and lots and lots of evidence on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just do the research, guys. Google her up. Google her up. It's there. You'll be able to find it. What are some of the common mistakes that you see people making when they're trying to incorporate gamification?
Oh, I think we talked about this just before we came on, but they want to make their project for themselves. This I
Yeah.
see all of the time. So they're like, I'm going to run a course on X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to run it this way. I'm going to do it with videos because I like videos. And then I'm going to sell it afterwards. So firstly, do your market research first. You can use gamification for that. But just because you like something doesn't mean that everyone else will. And I know I've talked about this a little bit already, but there's different types of player types. So one of the studies that was done in, I think, 85 by somebody called Richard Bartle. Now, this was specifically around video games rather than around gamification, but it is using gamification, much to his, like, he doesn't like that we use it, but we do. And he split the kinds of people who use video games into 4 types. He's since broken it down into 16, but I will tell you the 4. So achiever, which is me. This is people who are motivated by achieving stuff. So they're the students that will like to get to the top of the leaderboard. They'll like stars, they'll like badges, they'll like new titles, they'll like all this stuff that basically shows they're achieving more than anything else. Like, that's what motivates them. Socializers, they care most about socializing. So like, if you can get those people into group settings, if you can get those people into like challenges with other children, situations where they get to work with other people, that will be their motivator for learning. Explorers, so these people, they like to explore. So just before we came on to talk, you were showing me around a piece of software where they could explore the environment, right? So they could look around all these different areas. They are going to be motivated by hidden things. So, you know, the treasure hunt that I was talking about before, explorers will go wild for that because they're like, this is a thing that nobody else knows. And if I can figure it out first, that's super exciting. But you can do something that is as simple as, I have in the past run live trainings and had a poster up in the background here, and the first person who mentions it gets a prize. So it doesn't have to be huge. It's just giving those people who like to explore something that's going to motivate them, to keep them interested, to keep them engaged whilst they're learning. And then the final one sounds awful, but I promise you, it is just a different type of person. It's just got a bad name because it came from video games, and that is killers. So in the video game world, they are the kinds of people that would go around and shoot somebody so they could win, even if they're on their own team, because for them, it's more important to be at the top of the leaderboard, regardless of anyone else. In fact, despite and to spite everyone else, they want to be at the top of the leaderboard. So they love competition. They are the people that will find the loopholes in your system. They will find a way to cheat the test. These are these people. So you need to find stuff that's going to motivate them as well. So I think you need to provide stuff that's going to like light up every different player type. But bear in mind, everyone's going to be a little bit of all of them. The biggest ones are socializers and achievers, then explorers, and then about, well, I was going to say 1 to 2% is killers, but I found recently with my one-to-one clients that it can be up to 15% of your audience is killers. So yeah, it's like who are you working with, and what things are going to motivate them? What are they going to get out of it? And how can you make your sessions more intriguing, more interesting, more valuable, more motivating for them? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's actually really useful as you think about it, because you do have those kids that they just want to chit chat, and you might be thinking that they're using that as a way to be able to get out of doing the work that they need to, and it could be. You just have to be able to determine what their purpose of chit-chatting is. Like, you can tell the kids that really are like, they really want to learn more about you and get to know you and socialize and do all of that, versus the kid who's using the talking as a method to get out of doing any of their work, right? Like, they're both types, but they are
Yeah.
different people, and really understanding them is going to be critical in understanding what's going to motivate them. So I love how you broke this down. So the achiever is going to be motivated by getting on leaderboards,
And
correct?
like getting stars or badges or rewards, anything that's
Uh-huh.
going to showcase them to other people and themselves. I think a lot of achievers, like for me personally, I don't really care if anyone else knows I'm achieving as long as I know I'm progressing. Right.
Right.
So,
Progressing is their big. Yes, I love
it's,
that.
levels, like you were saying before about certificates of different levels, like an achiever would eat that right up. Like they would love it. And
Yeah.
they would want it. They would like, I want to know what the top level is. I have to get to that.
Oh my gosh, you just like, as soon as you just said that, had an aha moment. Because I have kids that were telling me they were achievers and I didn't see the cue. Because they'll be like at level D in the reading and they see that it does go all the way up to Z. And they'll be like, how do I get to Z? They're telling you right then and there, I'm an achiever.
Yep.
Like you don't even realize that. So listen for those kinds of things so that you can identify what's going to motivate them. All right, what are specific things that a socializer would be motivated by?
So yeah, so you said it yourself with the showing you the toys example. So you say,
Yes.
if you get through X, Y, and Z, when we get to the end of the session, we can just have an informal chat. Like we can just have a chat about your weekend or whatever. Or you can try and see, you can reward all of the socializers. So let's say you teach lots of socializers one-to-one. You can reward all of them with like a 30-minute Zoom call where they get to meet each other and talk about their hobbies. Like, facilitating them to do what they enjoy. And then also giving them opportunities to help each other. So socializers really, really love helping others more than achieving themselves. They don't really care about, they might do a bit, but like on the whole, their motivation is helping. So if you're like, you're really good at this particular thing, I've got a student who's struggling with it. Would you mind if we like join sessions and you guys can help each other to get through X, Y, and Z? They will learn more. They will have a better time. And you can facilitate that to make sure that they're obviously not teaching each other things that aren't correct or whatever. And you can make them feel like so much better about what they're doing because they're like, oh, look at me, like I'm helping this other person and I'm getting something out of it as well. So yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff you can do with socializers, but there's a couple of examples.
I love it. And the explorers, giving them things that they can find or figure out or like puzzles that they can solve. What would be some other ideas for explorers?
So like I said, the treasure hunt or like hiding things in the background, but you can tell them as well. So like over the next 6 weeks that I'm working with you, I'm going to have something different in the background each time. And they lead you to a clue. And if they figure out the clue, then they can get a reward, that kind of thing. Explorer is an interesting one because they usually have a little bit of the other like types in them as well. But just finding ways to keep them focused on the task in hand, which is why I tend to put things in the background. Or, if you're using like a piece of software where they can explore around things. So like maybe where your training is stored, if you do pre-recorded videos, if you have like some other things I've done is you can have like little figures, like little words or things that are hidden in a PDF or hidden in the background of something, and if they figure out that it's a special thing and click on it, they get a reward. So it makes them focus much more on the content and they get something out of it that they're like, oh, actually nobody else knows about this. So like in a video game scenario, they're called Easter eggs, like hidden things that other people don't know about. That's what you need to do. Figure out a way to put some Easter eggs into your content.
Yeah. And I think that, you bring that up. I think that's so cool is that the kids that aren't even like in that maybe they're not an explorer, they're going to get excited by the Easter eggs too. So it's not just for the explorers that you're putting that on in there. Others are going to find fun in it as well. Like my daughter is definitely a socializer. She's in the plays and all of that kind of stuff. And the person that organizes all of the plays, she has this one thing that all 4 characters will do on stage at one time. And I see it. Monkey do, monkey see, monkey say. It's like this one pose that they do. And she puts it in every single play. And all of a sudden my daughter is watching them practice. She's like, I found it, because she knew about it now, right? She knew that she had to look for this. And so she was paying attention, and everybody around her is like, what? Because they hadn't been in these plays before and they didn't know, but that excited her. So this will excite people as well, like to no end, that you have no idea. They're involving you in a secret way, almost like you feel like you're an insider when you figure it out.
The point that you made there, though, was that she knows about it now, so she needs to find it.
Yeah.
So you need to find a way, if you have some sort of community group for your students, or if you have an email list or something, you need to put clues in there so that they know there's something for them to look for. Because if they don't know about it, unless you're working with thousands of people, the likelihood that somebody's going to stumble across it is probably quite slim. So you do need to make a bit of a hoo-ha about it. You do need to, talk about it, maybe even mention it to the parents and be like, oh, if they're having a bad day, mention to them about this thing, and then they can go and find it and like be all proud of themselves. I don't know. Think of a way that will work with your students to motivate them to find the thing. But you're right, they need to know about it.
Yes.
Otherwise it's going to be, unless it's like me where I put a massive poster on the wall, absolutely huge poster, you can't miss it. If it's a bit more hidden, then yeah, give them the heads up.
Yeah. So cool. All right. And then our competition, our killers that are out there. What will motivate them that is on the more ethical side? Is there anything?
Yeah, so they're very similar to achievers. They're like a leaderboard.
Okay.
They're never going to say they want to be at the top because they don't want other people to be there, but that's the truth. So they're like a competition. I would say if you can avoid putting them with socializers, that would be a good idea in group settings, because they have opposite motivations. Like socializers want to help and killers do not want to help. Like they are the opposite. Yeah. So I think a lot of the things you'll put in place for achievers, killers will really like. But you could also set up like group challenges between your students. Let's say you have students in different areas of the country or whatever, and you could have challenges where they battle against each other for something. Killers will really like that. The socializers will like it because they get to work in groups. The achievers will like it because there's an opportunity to get to the top of a leaderboard. And if you can figure out a way of hiding something in amongst the content, then the explorers will like it too. So there are ways of doing stuff that will work for all of the different personality types. And bear in mind, this is just one personality profiling thing, right? So there's lots of others. If there's stuff that you already use, if you're already using Myers-Briggs, or if you're already using Enneagram, or whatever personality profiling you use, it's about just making sure that you have stuff in place for all of those different people. It doesn't have to be player types. That's just what I use because of, obviously. But if you're already using a system, it's not broken, why not apply it in the same way?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. And it just gets you to understand, like, a lot of times we kind of get stuck in doing things our own way because that's what works for us. And then really understanding what's going to work for the student that I'm working with is really, really important. What are some future trends or developments that you see in the future of gamification?
Oh, this is interesting. So I think the thing with gamification is it's kind of already hidden in everything, and people don't realize it, but I think it's just going to become more so. So at the moment, I still get a lot of kind of kickback in terms of, I don't want to play games, I'm an adult, or like I'm a teenager, I don't want to play games. And when I then point out to them that this gamification is in the newspapers, it's on billboards, it's on the TV, it's everywhere, then there it starts to be a bit like, oh, okay, once I explain it to them that, if you've ever been into a bar and there's a spin the wheel behind the bar, and every time you play, you could win some free drinks, or you might have to pay the bartender to give him a drink or whatever. That's gamification out in the wild. I just think we're going to see more and more and more of it. And with the addition of AI, now at the moment, from what I have seen, AI and gamification, it's a bit generic. So the stuff that AI comes up with at the moment is very much, very basic. Give them some badges, do a leaderboard, which is fine. But I think as time goes on, AI is going to get much better at coming up with ideas for gamification that you can use. And you can also, if you already have the idea, you can use AI to help you to develop it even more. So I think, there's going to be some interesting stuff. And I think there seems to be more and more software coming out that you can use for gamification, but there's so many of them. I think I'm waiting for there to be like 2 or 3 really top dogs. Like there's a monopoly in the shopping area with Amazon and eBay, right? So there's bound to be that for gamification. It's just a matter of time. Now, obviously in the learning space, Duolingo is that, but you can't use Duolingo to put your own courses on. So I'm very excited to see what comes out in the next, 5 years in terms of software, because there's bound to be some stuff that's stunning.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love about Zoom versus Koala Go, which I was showing you right before the session. And, Zoom doesn't really have any gamification really built inside of it. It has some teaching tools that you can use inside of it. But Koala Go is really, it's really built for kids to learn on. It's a platform that has, the ability to give stars and rewards, and it's got timers on there, so you can kind of control like what they can do and how long they can do it for, and giving them rewards that they are absolutely going to love. And you can hide those Easter eggs. I was already thinking of like, oh yeah, you could, like if I was doing like the letter of the day, like I could hide like something that started with that letter and see if they can guess like what the letter of the day is going to be each day, for those explorers. And then for those socializers talking about the letter of the day, what are some things that start with that letter that you could do, and achieving like how many letters do you know now based off of how many you knew before, that would show that progress. And then for that competition of having two kids that are learning their letters at the same time, like who's learned more letters, and not to compare or contrast, or even just beating your own time. I think that can be really, really helpful too, versus pitting two kids against each other, but really pitting yourself against your own improvements as well. I love to do that with fluency passages. Like I'll have the kid read for a minute, and then we see if they can read more words the next time they read it in a minute, and then the third time they read it in a minute. That would be a really great way for them to kind of do that. But all of these different pieces can definitely be with our students. I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kim. Where can people learn more information about you and gamification?
So we are at Kimba Digital on all of the platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, if you want to come say hello. And we have a free Facebook group called The Business Game, which is all about gamification and business stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in learning about gamification for courses, marketing, launches, any of those things, come along to The Business Game and we'll see you in there. And thank you for having me.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this has been so exciting. I love it. Again, thank you. And we will be seeing lots more of you. I know it.